Hey there, friends and foes. Good morning, multiverse. This is Back at the Cereal Box, the pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturday mornings of our youth while navigating adulthood today. I am your host, the prophet of pop culture, John Pyka. You can call me Johnny, Johnny Beyond if you dare. And we have an action packed show this morning because we are going to take a deep dive into the cultural phenomenon Popeye the Sailor Man, starting with the 1933 Max Fleischer short called Popeye the Sailor Man or Betty Boop Meets Popeye. And we are going to do that right after this.
Saturday morning, it's fun for all. Cartoons and cereal, let's have a ball. Comic books, kaiju, pro wrestling too. The fun is waiting for you. Back of the cereal box.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish 'cause I eats me spinach. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. That's what we're talking about this morning, and I am your host, John Pyka, Johnny Beyond, Avengers comic books, Star Wars movies, Saturday morning cartoons made me who I am today, and Popeye is one of my all-time favorites, and I am going to suggest that Popeye is the most powerful superhero ever created in pop culture. And I've got some evidence to back that up. And to help me do that, please welcome our amazing co-host who is doing this fantastic 1930s glamour girl, Greta Garbo style cosplay to open up. She is your wife's favorite redhead and an amazing cosplayer. Give it up for Aubrey Cavett. Look at that.
Good morning, cereal boxers.
Go on, Vogue. Let your body move to the music. She has no idea
Welcome
what
to
I'm
the
saying right now
30s.
because she doesn't have her
And I will
headphones on.
be retiring in just a moment.
She's going to do a quick change. So go ahead, go do that and come back. Here we go. Let's watch Aubrey change clothes on camera. She has no idea what I'm saying. She doesn't have her headphones on. Oh, she left. She'll be back. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what's going on? Should we be playing some different music? Da 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 dum dum bottom da 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 dum dum da 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 dum dum dum, and the audience is screaming, you know. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what's going on. I'm as surprised as you guys are actually watching this. I had no idea this was going to be like a production. Aubrey, we needed to have this like on camera, on air. Hey, while she's doing that, I have something special for you guys. So, did anyone else have grandparents that love chiclets? My grandpa always had a package of chiclets around, and that was like, you know, when I was a kid, that was like a reward. He would say, you know, do your chores, you'll have a couple of chiclets. The problem with that was I hated chiclets. I was more of a double mint kind of guy. My brother was more of a winter fresh kind of guy. So that is the story about Grandpa's chiclets. All right. Aubrey has done her striptease and she is back. You missed it, Aubrey. I gave you music and everything.
Oh, I did. I did. No headset on, so I couldn't hear anything.
I know.
Good morning, guys. How are you now that I can hear everyone?
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, who did you change into?
Well, this is actually still a 1930s, 1940s inspired dress that I found. So.
Ooh, very nice. Very cute. I love it. I love it. And you've got in theme, you've got a sailing ship in the backdrop with the Kraken. Fantastic. Well, for those of you who are just joining us and wondering what's going on, we are Back of the Cereal Box, a pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturdays of our youth while navigating adulthood today. And when I was a kid, we didn't have smartphones or tablets at the breakfast table. We were reading the back of the cereal box in between cartoons and comic books and kaiju movies. And that was our newspaper. That was our world. That was our portal. And that's what this show is all about. And this morning, I've got in my bowl the leftover berry pebbles, which has actually become a permanent part of the Pebbles family flavor portfolio.
Ooh, really? So it's a new favorite permanently.
So I'm going to have some berry pebbles, but you've got something brand new that you are doing a test for the first time. So
I am, and I do. That's true.
Share that with us.
Well, okay. First off, good morning again, everyone. I hope everyone's having a lovely beginning to your August. This, with my gloved hand, is the icy cereal. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, wait, I just hit the wrong button.
When you were kids, but in honor a little bit of the summer theme of a lot of Popeye's shows, because they were at the fair like 4 times in this cartoon.
A lot.
Both the black and white and the color, Technicolor. So in honor of summer fun, I thought, why not have some icy cereal? It's supposed to be feel the freeze, cools your mouth as you eat. Uh-oh. Is there a menthol flavor to it? I don't think that's allowed. So is there peppermint? How does it cool your mouth as you eat? I do have one non-gloved hand because, let's face it, ladies, there's no gripping when you have gloves on. So, whoa, this smell was instant.
What does it smell like to you?
The smell was instant. Oh, no, it's not good. Nope. Let's keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, in the adult audience, that I do partake of cigars every now and then. Still to this day, that's part of the gravelly voice that I have to begin with. But yes, it smells, I'm not lying, it smells a little like cough syrup. I don't know why. Maybe I am having an allergic reaction to something.
No. I know why it smells like cough syrup.
Oh, the cherry flavor. Mm-hmm. The cherry flavor from the icy. Oh,
this is going to be good. All right, get it in the bowl.
First of all, I'm so glad that we're not going to be doing too many of these cartoons because I cannot handle these lips. I can't do it, guys. Like I wanna blend it to the end of my lips so bad. But apparently it's a fashion now too. So there's a singer who wears her lips like this. I'm not gonna mention, names or anything, but that's okay.
Why?
Because I don't want to mispronounce her name. It's an interesting name, and it's like there's Ro in the name. I don't remember.
I have no idea who
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I love her music, and I can't remember right this moment.
That's perfectly okay. It's part of navigating adulthood today. So while you're pouring that in the bowl with your milk already in it, what?
Everything's wrong. Everything's wrong. There's no milk. I'm so off today. Okay, I won't lie. I usually have a sip of coffee before the podcast because I'm going into the bathroom like this in the morning to get my makeup on. While I'm doing this, you're enjoying your cereal thoroughly.
Yes. Listen.
Almost done with the bowl.
Almost
done with the bowl. There was a dry one left.
One of my
let that happen. Okay. Ready? Here we go.
All-time favorites.
All right. Now, I was on a podcast recently, and we finished recording. It's called Brown Sheep. So I will shamelessly plug that. Hi, Brown Sheep. Thank you for having me on. And we did mention the fact that I eat cereal backwards because It's okay to be different. And
All
thank
right.
you. Also, sorry again, Johnny, I can't help it because now that I met Dave, hi Dave, and I know Dave likes his cereal dry, I feel like I'm a little less alone in the world.
Well, I don't
Here it
know about
goes.
that.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay, they are definitely puffy. They look. Whoa. Okay, there's some that are two colors. Like
For
that's a
those of you who
purple.
can't see or just listening, Aubrey is holding up one of the icy puffs, and it's purple and red. And she's got the bowl. She's poured the cereal into the milk, the opposite of, and now she just tried a piece dry. Her face is, I don't know what that face is.
Okay, no, I have to try it dry now. Now that the cookie crisp and the crumble fiasco have happened. And by the way, guys, I still have my crumble cereal. I did not negotiate with someone to trade. I kept it so I could eat it with my coffee. It's really good. Sometimes it's a good snack at night, which you shouldn't do. So never mind about that. But some of them are red, some of them are blue, and some of them are like a purple color. My camera is super pixelating trying to
Well, that's because
focus, but that's amazing.
red and blue make purple.
They do not stay crunchy long, guys.
Yeah. So this is a cereal by Kellogg's. She's just taking her first bite. Oh, she's got a face like it's a sour flavor. Is it sour?
I can really taste the cherry. You can
Okay.
smell it when you open the bag, but oh my
And
god.
Is that a bad thing? I love cherry.
I don't like the taste of fake cherry. I'm not going to lie. But if you like the taste of icy cherry, this cereal tastes like an icy cherry. It does.
So
it tastes exactly like it.
That makes me want to try it. But you don't like
okay,
it.
you can have it. You can have it. I don't like that. I'm not kidding, guys. Like I love real cherries. I love real cherries in bourbon.
Cherries.
I love real cherries fresh. I love real cherries all together. but the taste of fake cherry. See, me and Johnny are the opposite. The taste of fake cherry is not my favorite. The taste of fake cherry, I don't know how to describe it. It reminds me of cough syrup so much that I just like if I get a cherry flavored anything. No, you give me Twizzlers. Like I prefer the strawberry.
Well, Twizzlers is strawberry.
Well, but they have cherry flavor too.
Recently.
Some people prefer the cherry.
I do.
Ah, see, there you go.
See, I love cherry flavor.
So this is something you will like then, Johnny, because not only does it dissolve into nothing land, but it also has a severe cherry flavor.
I've got a whole bag of Ludens in the other room. We could do, shoot some Ludens together.
This is why when people go to eat with me, I warn them ahead of time. I do make faces and I do make sounds when I eat. I love food, but when I don't love it, you can really tell.
So I want to thank everybody who is tuning in this morning. I want to thank everyone who watched our show last week on Fleischer's Superman. Before we dig into our main topic, we do need to thank our Patreon community members, our Cereal Box Super Friends. You guys make this show possible, and you too can have your name in lights at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. $1 a month is all it takes to get into the Cool Kids Club. And there are additional perks along the way as you become a contributor at a higher level. We are also brought to you by my book series, the Tales of the Decoverse series. The latest volume, Volume 3, Rise of the Impossibilists, is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get books. And, of course, our new loot sponsor, Entertainment Earth, for all of your action figure and collectible needs. And if you're into comics, Things from Another World is your place to grab those great new and collectible comics. And those links will be in the show notes. Now, for all of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to ask you to jump over to Facebook. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/serialboxpodcast, and watch over there. But give us hearts and thumbs ups and emojis, and a lot of them, because that helps us. Every time you give us one of these, or one of these, I can't do a heart. One of these, or a smiley face, we get a little couple pennies, and that helps keep the show going. So we appreciate that. And we've got comments already, Aubrey. So we're and a lot of them.
Yay!
So I said at the top of the show that we're going to be talking about Popeye the Sailor Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I maintain that Popeye is the most powerful comic book cartoon superhero ever created. He outpowers Superman. He outpowers Goku. He is the top of the totem pole. And Caterade, Cade Hawkins actually asks, hey, what's your take on spinach?
Ooh.
You like your spinach? What's the deal with tunes influencing what I like to eat? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with pizza, Garfield with lasagna, Popeye with his spinach. Actually, I hate canned spinach. I think it's disgusting. However, I love fresh spinach.
I agree.
I love spinach in things.
That's so funny. We agree on something.
Yeah. Now, here, as we get into this, Aubrey, one of the things I'm going to ask, and don't answer right away. I want you to think about this. With Popeye, does his strength and power really come from the spinach? Or is it something that is innate and the spinach is only a symbolic representation of what's happening inside of him? Don't answer right away. Think about that. We're going to come back to that. Zentron is joining us from across the pond. He says, hello, fellow cereal boxers. And Brian Prosser is here. He says, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello, Brian. Oh my gosh, look at who is here. My frenemy, Virgil Tibbs. I got up just to watch you, Johnny. I love you. Hey, I love you too, Virgil. I am so glad that you are here with us.
I love it.
So, Aubrey, while you were changing, you missed. I did a little piece of magic.
Oh,
with
did you?
chiclets,
Good.
Transforming them into double mint and winter fresh gum. And Brian Presser says, blackjack gum for me. I love blackjack gum.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I love black licorice.
Oh, yeah. We don't agree about that either. I hate black licorice.
Well, you can be wrong once in a while. And Zentron says he's coming at us live, lying on his bed, watching the stream. Well, I'm glad.
Thank you for joining us.
Here. And sadly, Zentron is only able to watch for the next 20 minutes. I have a delivery and a new secret headquarters site to explore afterwards. Zentron is an explorer, and he finds all of these abandoned tunnels and railway stations and bomb shelters that he explores, and he says probably using asbestos to cool you as you eat. He's talking about the icy. Do you think it has asbestos in it? Did it taste like asbestos?
Only if the asbestos was cherry flavor. I mean, in a way, I suppose the texture physically reminds me. I assume that's what asbestos would do in milk. It just disintegrated. It really just disintegrated. Like, it hit the milk, guys. And you know me. I don't put a lot in there because I don't like the mushy. It just went.
Well, and Dave Mattingly says, Aubrey, you're never alone when you have cereal.
Oh, that's true. You'll always have the cereal.
Zentron says cherry Bakewell tarts, delicious.
As long as they're real cherry. If they're fake, which Bakewell sounds like Sara Lee kind of thing. And in that case, I have to say, is there a lemon flavor? I can do lemon. For some reason, I like the lemon or the cream flavors or the chocolate flavors, but you give me that cherry flavor, I'm a no.
Eli T. Cash says no banks were robbed in the funding of this podcast.
I mean,
And then
that's
he adds the hashtag Weekly World News with funny cavemen and sea captains before the Weekly World News had hashtag Batboy. Eli, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Weekly World News.
Well, you know, the newsstand rag,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Batboy. But I have no idea what he's talking about. Eli, what planet are you living on?
I love Eli's posts, by the way, guys. If you post on Back of the Cereal Box and I don't get it, you're welcome to send it to my Facebook Messenger, because I will get it, and I delight in the silly things that we share on there. As a group of Back of the Cereal Box, it is very fun to share the different things that we have swirling around in our brain.
In the rec room.
In the rec room.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've got our Facebook page, and we've got the Back of the Cereal Box rec room where you guys get to post what you like and engage in conversation, which we love. And Dave Mattingly says Tales of the Decoverse is also available on Audible. It is? The original volume, Tales from the Flip Side, is on Audible. That was with a previous publisher, and I've not seen 1 cent of royalties from that.
No, really?
Yeah.
That is that is the terrifying part about self-publishing.
Well, no, it's not self-published. It was with a publisher.
And no contract.
It's a whole thing.
Oh, it's a whole
We're
thing.
not going to talk about
it. Okay, it's a whole thing. Dave, we got to talk about that later.
Let me just say, for all of you aspiring authors out there, just because you are published traditionally with a publisher does not mean that you're going to make money. You're actually more likely to make more money self-publishing.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. If you want to make money, self-publish. And hold on, Aubrey, I'm going to bring you up center screen because I got to yell at someone in the background real quick. So just vamp for just a minute.
Vamp. Okay. So how about we just pretend like I can tie a bow? Because this morning, guys, I don't know if it's the lack of coffee or what, but this adorable retro dress, which, by the way, is secondhand, and I don't mind. It's supposed to be a genuine retro dress.
It looks genuinely retro.
I don't know.
It looks fantastic.
Know what the gloves are, though. The gloves are an antique. But the dress itself is just I actually had to alter it. So, for those of you watching, don't be afraid. If you love cosplay, to alter the items. I had to cut this dress down the middle just to make it fit.
It looks fantastic. And Virgil Tibbs says, "Hi, Aubrey."
Good morning, Virgil. Are you here to bust on Johnny or me this morning?
Hey, Virgil, just FYI, Aubrey is single.
Dear.
And David Walsh, who is also known as Zentron, is over on Facebook. Okay, Facebook, here I am. Thank you so much.
Yay. Hi, Zentron. David.
And Eli T. Cash says, it's the spinach. It worked on Olive Oil when she was fighting a woman beating up Popeye. Dude has a code of chivalry, a hashtag kryptonite barely touched upon in the show.
Mm.
Oh, so you're saying his code of chivalry is his kryptonite. He won't hit a woman. I don't know. Zentron says he recently visited an abandoned nuclear bunker.
Ooh.
And he adds, he's jumping back and forth, lemon tart, of course. So Virgil Tibbs asked, could you repeat the spinach question? I'm not sure I understood it. So Popeye in the cartoons, the pattern is always, it's kind of like Rocky. He's always getting his butt kicked, or he's in a, you know, precarious situation. He's holding his own, but then it starts to go south, and he pulls out the can of spinach and he eats the spinach, and all of a sudden he becomes super powerful, like the t-shirt. His muscles grow and he becomes super powered, not just strong. He can shape change. He can transform his body. He does in the episode that we watched, the very first episode, he twists up his arm and does this twister punch where he punches Bluto and Bluto spins like a propeller. And
wait, are we at that stage? Are we talking about all of that? Because I've got notes.
we're slowly segueing, so get your notes ready. And
4 pages. Watched 4.5 hours of Popeye.
What? Oh my gosh. So Virgil, my question is, does his power actually come from the spinach, or is it only a symbolic, ritualistic kind of thing to help him focus? Kind of like Samson's hair. Samson's strength didn't come from his hair. His hair was a sign of his faith, and his faith is what gave him strength. It was a symbol. And once his hair was cut, his faith was shaken and he lost his strength. So is Popeye spinach Samson's hair? Does that make sense?
Yes. You said I'm not supposed to answer yet. So
no, you can answer.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, think about it for a little while, because I've been thinking about it.
Okay, so now is the time, Aubrey. Answer that question.
Okay, so Johnny, I have pages and pages of the things that I thought about Popeye and the spinach. To be honest with you, no, I do not believe the source of his power is purely the spinach. He in one of the previous episodes used smelling garlic to create his power. But then when he didn't have the garlic anymore, he needed the spinach. So to me, the power is internally in Popeye, but he needs something to trigger it, or a catalyst of some kind. And so it just happens to be that he believes strongly in the power of spinach for all his family, mind you, because the Popeye, and the other one I can never remember the name of, the 4 little boys, those all got the power when they used spinach. I did not see the episode with Olive Oil where she used the spinach, but this is a recurring theme, it seems, because he gives inanimate objects the spinach. He gave a goose the spinach so that the goose could fly him. So there's some interesting aspects to the special spinach, and I think it's only the spinach that Popeye has or has touched. I feel like there's something to do with that.
So this is the perfect segue into Popeye the Sailor Man, the most powerful superhero of all time. Now, Popeye, I sent you the wiki entry, and if you start following the links, you go down it's a spider web of information. So, Tale of the Tape. Popeye the Sailor is a fictional cartoon character created by E.C. Seeger. The character first appeared in 1929, January 17th, in the daily King Features comic strip, Thimble Theater. And the strip was in its 10th year when Popeye made his debut. And he quickly became the lead character, and Thimble Theater became one of King Features' most popular properties during the 1930s. Following Seeger's death in 1938, the Thimble Theater was later renamed Popeye, was continued by several writers and artists, most notably Seeger's assistant Bud Sagendorf, and the strip continues to appear in first-run installments on Sundays to this day, written and drawn by R.K. Mulholland, and he actually watches our show. The daily strips are reprints of old, the daily strips. So the Sunday strips are original with R.K. Mulholland. the daily strips are reprints of old Sagendorf stories. But here's where this gets interesting, Aubrey. So I didn't ask you to research this question, but do you know the origin of Popeye?
I know that he started off on Betty Boop.
Well, no, he started in the comic Thimble Theater.
Yes. No, I mean the
Well,
when
no,
we
even before that, before the comics, before he
Mm.
was even a newspaper strip character.
Mhm.
Do you know what inspired Popeye?
I do not.
This man.
Oh,
This-
I have seen pictures.
Yeah, this is Frank Rocky Flegel, and he was a guy who lived in Seeger's hometown, and he was known for that face.
Popeye. Mhm.
He was missing an eye, and he had that jutting, protruding jaw. He could move it up, he could do that face. So that became the inspiration for this. And look, you can see that, right?
Mhm. Very much so.
Yeah. But
I wonder if he had those tattoos.
I don't know. I didn't see any full body pics, but here's the thing about the spinach, okay? So when Popeye first appeared,
Mhm.
his story and characterization varied depending on the medium. In
Mhm.
his debut storyline in Thimble Theater comic strips, Popeye's superhumanly proportioned strength and endurance stemmed from the luck he acquired by rubbing the feathers of the head of Bernice, a wiffle hen, thus enabling him to survive 15 gunshot wounds. And by the end of 1929, Popeye's strength had become a regularized fixture of his character with spinach, and by 1932, becoming the primary repository of his prowess. And so, there's no continuity with the spinach really in his origin until we get to the cartoon. So I'm going to back it up here. Here's
Okay.
just a couple of shots from the original comics appearances. This is by High Iceman, a Popeye adventure with the Sea Hag. As we get into the cartoons, we've got the cast of characters here with Popeye, Olive Oil, Wimpy, Bluto, and in the front, Sweet Pea and Jeep. Jeep. And this is how they appeared in the 1970s.
Jeep was a strange character. I did not watch any episodes, but I did find out that is basically an alien.
Yeah, so when you read the comic strips, Aubrey, and I've got collected editions of them, it's weird. It's so weird. And it's so weird that it's hard to read. But if you're into that like Tim Burton weirdness, you would probably love the comic strips.
Really? It's not just all Bluto be bad.
No. There's the Sea Hag, there's the I forget, the Goons. Do you remember Alice the Goon?
Yes. Those are not people. Those don't look like people. They don't.
They were on an island.
Goon Island.
Goon Island, yeah, and we don't know what they are.
They're not people.
And
There's something.
And there were all kinds of other characters in the comic strip that were just so weird. And when Fleischer adopted it for the animated theatrical shorts, so this is the show card for Popeye meets Sinbad.
It was so funny to see that. I saw that so many times as a kid, this particular one.
Sinbad and Alibaba are probably the two most commonly seen theatrical shorts. So this is another one from Sinbad. But the one that I sent you specifically first, and I sent you a bunch. I sent you representations from the original Max Fleischer, from the famous studios 1940s, and from the later 60s and 1970s series. There have been several series throughout the years, several iterations, but we're primarily focusing on this one episode, the debut film, Popeye the Sailor, titled on screen as Popeye the Sailor with Betty Boop. It's a 1933 animated short produced by Fleischer Studios, distributed by Paramount Publics Corporation. And while it was billed as a Betty Boop cartoon, it was produced as a vehicle for Popeye in his debut animated appearance. And Aubrey, this is one that people have seen a lot, because the screen zooms in on an illustration of Popeye from the newspaper. It says Popeye has become a movie star, and then it comes to life and sings about his amazing prowess with his signature song, "I'm Popeye the Sailor Man," and he's walking along the ship, and like there's a clock, and he punches the clock, and the clock transforms and explodes into tiny little clocks, not splinters, not rubble. They transform into functional alarm clocks and wristwatches. And as he's walking along, there's a mizzen mast, and he punches the mizzen mast, and it transforms into a pile of clothespins. And this happens throughout his intro. And this is why I maintain that he is one of the most powerful superheroes on the planet. Not only does he have superhuman strength and endurance, he can take 17 gunshot wounds.
I don't understand. There is a callback in one of the episodes of Popeye where Olive Oyl slips in, "Thank you, my Superman." Like, she separates it really heavily there in that episode. Like,
so he's bulletproof. He's super strong. In the episode that we're watching, Bluto is being a bully, and he does the hammer, the bell hammer, where you hit the hammer on the thing and it shoots the, I don't even know the strongman test. You know what I'm talking about. And the mallet goes up the cable and it hits the bell and you win a prize. And he just barely does it. The mallet actually crawls up the thing, and Popeye was like, I don't even need this mallet. He shakes, he basically rubs the mallet and it crumbles into sawdust, and he just punches the lever and it shoots the mallet up, and it not only does it ring the bell, it goes flying into orbit, into space, gone. And this before any spinach. So this is why I'm saying I don't think the spinach actually gives him the strength. I think it's a symbol of the strength he already has. But they're riding the rides, and then we come to this scene, the sideshow, where Betty Boop is hula dancing. And do we notice anything about this?
I mean,
Popeye joins her on stage.
I know,
to hula dance. But what's noticeable about this, Aubrey?
I mean, there's it's very risque for the time, maybe, for a cartoon.
No, it's not.
No, is that the norm?
Yes. So you got to understand, in the 30s, for those of you who can't see, Aubrey's afraid to say it. Betty Boop is topless.
Yes, Betty Boop is topless. Okay, I didn't. You're right. I felt, yes, Betty Boop is completely topless, covered with just a lei, and a grass skirt.
But here's what you need to understand about the 1930s.
Yeah.
risque, what we consider risque today, was actually commonplace entertainment. It was like 1934. Sally Rand appears at the World's Fair, and she does her world famous fan dance in the main pavilion, completely nude, only covering herself with fans, feather fans. And that was mainstream entertainment.
Well, I remember the history of the fan dance, and I will say that it was not considered family entertainment. It was specifically,
Well, but it was mainstream
usually
entertainment.
considered.
It's what you would see in theaters. What you would see at what they called the hoochie coochie tent.
There
at the
you go.
carnival.
There you go. Because there were certain people who would not have gone into that tent.
But if you went to the theater, if you went to see vaudeville in the 30s, and if you saw Josephine Baker dancing on stage, you saw her dancing topless. She was actually nude, wearing only a belt with bananas on it, a banana skirt. And that was mainstream entertainment.
That was definitely classy forms of adult entertainment. I still think that they were very well known as being specifically adult entertainment, and a very beautiful art that still is continued in some places.
Well, look, I mean, back in those days, if you took the kids to the theater, it was going to see the movie for a nickel. You weren't taking them to the theater. So theater audiences were mainly adults. And this was mainstream entertainment of the day. And so, you know, what we consider risque today was considered perfectly normal back in the day.
Now, the dance that was done by Betty Boop, by the way, was that the dance that they recorded with an actress, as with the other, because it appeared to be so.
Yeah, it was rotoscoped. And
a lot of backgrounds.
This is not the only time it appears. She does the same dance on a island in another short that is a Betty Boop short. And if you want to go down into some deep weirdness, Betty Boop is not the cute little flower that you think she is.
Oh no, not at all.
Incredibly risque and super weird. Look, the song, she first appears in Minnie the Moocher, in a short called Minnie the Moocher with Cab Calloway. And she appears in the segment of the song where it's talking about, where she was cokey, where she was laced out with cocaine, high on coke. And there are so many references to drugs and alcohol and, riotous.
It's a very adult form of cartoons. So when people talk about cartoons were made for kids always, that's not the case. There was a lot of adult cartoons or adult themes. If we're going to talk about adult themes in Popeye, we could talk about how rough Brutus is. In one episode, Brutus tried to Bluto. Sorry, you're right. I do that sometimes.
No, that's a common mistake. Actually.
Yes. Well, I was watching the episode where they were in Greece, and it got me thinking that direction, which is why I was referring to the garlic. Yes, Popeye's Diner. But in some of these, he's so rough with olive oil in trying to get her affection, to the point where at one time he tried to brand her with a hot iron with his initials, like brand her. So there, your face. Well, did you not see that one?
No, I've seen all of these dozens of times. But in this specific episode, Popeye the Sailor Man, at the fair, Bluto declares, she's mine, and he takes her away, and basically it's like, if I can't have you, nobody will.
Yeah, he ties her to the tracks with the tracks.
Ties her to the railroad tracks. He's going to kill her.
Oh yeah, He plans on killing her and Popeye. There is a murderous intent with them in a lot of these episodes together. But then there's strange episodes where like they have a moving business together. Popeye and Bluto had a moving business together.
Yeah. So in the early shorts, you know, Sinbad, Alibaba, you know, Bluto and Popeye were definitely adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
But we get into the 70s. Well, this is from the 40s.
Yes.
Get into the 40s and the 70s. And there are times when, yes, they are clearly frenemies. You mentioned the nephews.
Yes.
These came along in the 80s.
These little kids are little.
They're gremlins.
Oh my gosh. They're worse than Bluto sometimes. They're worse than Bluto sometimes. I don't mean to get too loud. But you know, while Bluto is like, how can I get rid of this runt Popeye? The boys are like, how can I make his life miserable? Like their uncle comes home and they want him to recount stories, but he needs to go to sleep, and they're having an actual band in their bedroom. But then there's other times when they're close to like killing him. There's so much damage they could have done to him. Okay, and then there's episodes where there's nobody but Popeye. Okay, can we talk about the Just Popeye episodes? Because the two that really stand out to me are Popeye versus the mouse and Popeye versus the termites.
Okay.
Because in those two episodes, somehow the mouse gets Popeye's powers because he eats some of Popeye's spinach. So that's where one of my first
do you know which era that was?
That was the black and white.
Okay, so that was still in black and white. All right.
Yeah. He made the mistake of putting a can of spinach over the mouse that was trying to kick him out of his own bedroom because he was snoring too much. And in the episode, if you haven't seen it, the termites was one of the first Popeye episodes I'd ever seen. And in the termites episode, he ends with a metal pipe, a metal corncob pipe, and a metal home, because that's the only way to fight the termites. So I want to say that in what's Fever Dream, termites beat Sailor, but in this one it was real close. Like Popeye almost didn't win,
but he did. And here's the thing. I want to get back to this idea of Popeye's superpowers. So he's super strong. He's bulletproof. He's fast. He can transform himself into, you know, like one episode, he transforms himself into a missile.
Yes.
Into a rocket.
Yep. His whole body, not the image of his body,
right?
But silver bullet.
Right. So he's got transformational powers, shape-shifting abilities, and then he has transmutational abilities when he can turn something into another object, like the clock into dozens of clocks. Like when he punches Bluto, he gets to the train, he punches the train collapses, and then he goes over to Bluto, and not only does he punch Bluto out of his shoes, but all of a sudden a coffin starts being assembled out of
there's
nowhere.
Nails coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. So and Bluto ends up in a coffin, nailed into the coffin. And that's Popeye's power, making that happen. And so I maintain that he is, with all of his attributes combined, the most powerful superhero in comics and cartoons ever created.
But he needs a better writer if he's that powerful, because his writers are always writing him out of the marriage that he wants so bad. They're always writing him out of the spot where Bluto gets the one up on him. But then they do like the Vanishing Cream, episode where he can cover himself in vanishing cream and he literally disappears. So yeah, it's just.
So why
It's wild,
do you think that olive oil even indulges Bluto at all?
Oh, no, that's the craziest thing. Like in some of the episodes, like one of the there's an aviator episode that I what is it? I wrote down all of the names because I went crazy. I have 4 pages of Popeye here. First of all, olive oil, she can transform also. I want to know what kind of planet these people are on because it's obviously not our planet. There's no way that Olive can have water shoot into her mouth and out her ears and still be alive. She gets turned into a pretzel on multiple occasions. She gets stretched between 2 cars. Between cars. Okay, like Popeye falls out of a building and catches himself on her neck, stretches her down a building, and she catches herself with her feet. Like,
well, are you sure that's not his ability being transferred to her? He's
no, but the water
he's
one.
in the proximity.
Okay, so wait, is that it? Is that why Bluto has some weird things he can do sometimes too? Because it's proximity to. Okay, so if it's all right, wait a second. That makes a little more sense. If it's proximity to Popeye, that would explain why animals and bugs and other people, can sometimes use the same power. That would make a little sense.
Or
there.
that could just be the piece of being part of a cartoon universe. But did we notice in this episode, Popeye the Sailor Man, at the fair, there were some anthropomorphic animals?
Yeah. I don't understand how some of the animals have the ability to be more human-like.
The pig man?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be terrifying, actually. A pig man?
That would be terrifying. There's a lot of things in the show that are slightly terrifying. But Superman, can we revisit the powers that be? Because like if it's proximity, that makes a bit of sense. Popeye has been thrown through glass multiple times. He's been successfully almost drowned multiple times. He's been tied up. He's been hit to the point where I don't think he had any more bones left to break. He's been used as a car. But then there's the one-liners. The one-liners got me every single time. Simple, yes, but funny. Almost every time. And one of my favorite episodes is the painless window cleaning. Now, if you've seen that episode of Popeye, in that episode, that's the episode where I refer to olive oil being turned into a bungee cord so that Popeye doesn't fall down the side of the building. In that episode, a Matrix-style fight happens between Popeye and Bluto. Now, a lot of amazing fights happened between them. That's true. The punching and spinning people is amazing. Pretzeling people and turning. They both do outlandish physical things. But in this particular episode, it looks like at any second Bluto is going to turn him into a pancake on the side of the road because they're so high up on this building that Bluto dirtied all the windows up so he could clean the windows and make money in his window cleaning service. Because of course he's being underhanded in this episode. And then they stand on separate buildings where they should fall. And Olive Oil is screaming, of course. A lot of times she's screaming in a lot of these episodes.
Oh, Popeye!
There's a lot of oh, Popeyes. I didn't even want to go there, but yes. But so she's in this episode, she's not even giving Bluto the time of day. She's not interested in him. They're not dating. None of that. Like in this episode, he's just a window cleaner that wants to clean her windows. And she's a stenographer, which she's been multiple jobs too. She's owned businesses. She's been a writer. She's been a screenwriter. And she's had multiple businesses and jobs, which is great to show Olive Oil in all these different jobs. In that era, it was unusual for women to have as many jobs still. So that's pretty cool all by itself, to advertise that, to make that as big a deal and a mainstream kind of thing. it wasn't as popular still for women to get jobs outside of the home. And she's screaming, like I said, at the top of her lungs. And Bluto and Popeye are on two different buildings, and they're punching each other up the building. There's a width this big enough for two men to fall and splat. But instead, they're like this. And yes, I have seen enough of black and white movies to know that they made a lot of gags, a lot of pie fall down gags in Popeye that are very reminiscent of those. But going up the building like that, if you've not watched Matrix, I'm sorry, there's scenes like that in that. There's scenes like that in anime. Almost every superhero
inspired by this.
Yes, it's that moment, and so many of their death-defying fights where they seem ridiculous, blown out of proportion, and then go back and remember some of the Power Ranger episodes or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle episodes or Batman episodes where something happened. It already happened. It's right here. It's already happened on Popeye.
So let's talk about this for a minute. So Popeye the Sailor Man, the theatrical short, and they did several more. I mean, this was we talked about this being part of the theater going experience last week when we were talking about Superman, but this one, Popeye the Sailor with Betty Boop, was 1933. So this was a decade before Superman. Popeye appears in the Thimble Theater in the 1920s. What did I say? 1929. 1929. This is a full decade before the creation of Superman. Superman wasn't created until 1938. And so there's so much influence from this on future media. And Sean Doss, we've got some great comments about this theory. So Sean Doss says, could it be a case where everybody in the Popeye universe has this ability? They just have to have or find the thing that gives them the extra power, the actual extra juice. Actually, notice just about all of them can take a beating and get right back up, shake their head, and be ready to go. Okay. And Eli T. Cash says, seeing olive oil eating spinach is equivalent to seeing hashtag Bigfoot. Anyway, there's a video he links. We're not going to link that video. But Eli T. Cash does say, fan theory time. Maybe Popeye is a blood descendant of Samson. Well, that would explain this photorealistic fan art of Popeye.
Oh my goodness. I am what I am. There you go. Oh my goodness. I love that.
Let's see. Eli T. Cash says, guy can survive 2 buzzsaws from chopping him in half.
Right, his skin can turn to practically diamond.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Hey, Sandra Noel is joining us. Good morning. Good morning, all. Finished up my Frosted Flakes chocolate milkshake. It's fine, but just having chocolate milk at the house lets you dress up a lot of cereals in the same way. That's true. Mm-hmm. Dave Mattingly says, for a good laugh, look up photos of Popeye the Sailor Moon cosplay. So, Dave, I am the first one to suggest that as a cosplay.
Oh, that's the other thing.
15 years ago, I on another show, Tales from the Geek, I asked the cosplay community, please, someone do Popeye the Sailor Moon. And 2 years later, a cosplayer did it at San Diego Comic-Con.
What?
There are great pictures of.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Well, I will say I would like to briefly speak about the music.
Well, let's get through some of these comments. Caterade says, I think they were using Betty Boop to introduce Popeye. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. because he was introduced in her cartoons. Yeah. This episode, Popeye the Sailor Man, was it actually had the banner across the top, a Betty Boop cartoon. So, yeah. And Eli T. Cash says Popeye can literally turn Bluto into a baby with one punch, decades before Mortal Kombat's Babyality, a finisher involving turning your opponent into a baby.
I know, right? Okay, thank you, Eli, because other people need to understand just how influential this cartoon is, and that is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, yeah. Virgil Tibbs, when I asked you, don't be afraid to talk about Betty Boop being topless, he thought you were afraid to say she's black. And he's read Betty Boop was supposed to be a black woman. She was. In her original incarnation, she was an African-American woman. She's inspired by a specific...
Isn't it... oh gosh, what was her name? I just forgot her name all of a sudden.
Yeah, she's...
We'll do that on Betty. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it, but she's kind of an amalgamation of Josephine Baker and another actress, singer that I can't remember her name either. But and in the Broadway musical that's a smash success right now, Boop, she is played by an African-American woman. And, we were talking about some of the more risque parts of Betty Boop. Virgil Tibbs says, yeah, there's a Betty Boop cartoon where she's being chased and singing, "Don't take my boop boop away."
Ooh.
And Virgil Tibbs says, yeah, Bluto was an awesome bad guy. He knew how to treat a lady.
Oh my goodness. So there were the funny thing is that if Bluto, we don't know who he would have been if he had not always been being thwarted by Popeye. Because the truth is, they both had a thing for Olive in most of the cartoons. And while he wasn't always exactly a gentleman in some of them, there were some where he was ready to marry her. He was ready to get gorgeous and spiffy. He was ready to be a perfect gentleman. And Popeye comes along and he's like, oh yeah. And it's like it brings out a side of him. It's just, it's so interesting to see the dynamic.
So Bluto is this guy who he spiffs himself up. He shines everything up. He, puts on the facade of the gentleman, the nice guy. But then you marry him and he's laying around the house in a wife beater saying, "Hey, bring me another beer." And then when she brings him the wrong one, slaps her around a little bit. That's who Bluto is.
So that's what the guy that he represents, because then later on they made him more of a joke. But in the beginning, I feel like in the black and white movies, in the shorts and in the made for theater, he was more badass a little bit. He was just a little rougher. He was a little tougher. And later on, it's like they softened his edges a little bit, made him a little easier.
So
Esther Jones, by the way.
Yes, Esther Jones. Thank you so much.
Esther Jones from the 1920s. From the 1920s. And the style I was wearing was very much earlier. The black dress was very much also Esther Jones. The high neck with the flared short sleeves. And Esther Jones had a beautiful, beautiful voice. And that circles back to my thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the music in this is inspired by the jazz of the time.
Oh yeah.
To be specific, I had something. It just happens to be that Fleischer's studio, where he moved his studio, was close to some of the jazz music that was being produced at the time, because he didn't always have the studios where they ended up. The music is supposed to be a mixture of sunny show tunes and music from the street, specifically, is the wording.
Okay. So just for everyone who's wondering, I did the Google search for you so that you don't have to. This is who we're talking about, Esther Jones. I mean, that is clearly Betty Boop.
I mean, yes, spot on.
Yeah,
If that's the actual actress from that time, that's a great
It
picture.
is. Yeah. So this is actually fan art with Betty
That
Boop
one.
and
Yeah.
Popeye. Now, in the original black and whites, you couldn't tell, that Betty Boop was intended to be African American. I'm going to show some great fan art. This is another great piece of that scene from this show with the topless Betty Boop dancing. Here's some fan art of Popeye, Olive, Sweet Pea, Betty, and her dog. I can't remember the dog's name. Getting photographed by, uh, um, is it Pogo the clown? What is the clown? Bosco. Bosco the clown.
Bosco.
Man, Bosco he was super weird and scary. This is
more
fan art that I love.
That's a lot of the Popeye family is in there. You can see the grandpa in the background.
Well, this is almost the scene from
the movie,
the 1980 movie.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the 1980 movie, Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall.
Robin!
I mean, look at how perfect Robin Williams was.
He was great for that role. He really was. And Shelley, I don't think there was a better Olive, honestly. No. She was spot on, exactly what I thought Olive would look like. When I saw her, I thought that they had taken her likeness to make the movie. I was a kid, okay? So excuse me. But I really did think that she was the one that was the cartoon was made for. So she embodied, like, I was never going to try Olive Oyl. She did it out. And she just passed away. In honor of Olive Oyl, and in honor of Shelley, I would never try to. And she was perfect, absolutely perfect in every way for that role.
Yes. So, gosh, we got so many comments. We're gonna go through these real quick. Let's see. Virgil Tibb says the band Popeye cartoons are awesome too. The one where Popeye meets the cannibals. Everyone was trying to eat him, even the babies.
Oh, yeah. There is an episode apparently somewhere that involves like the Nazis. I don't know if I should even say the word out loud.
Say Nazis.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if we're going to get banned for that or not. But that was in that cartoon. And I did not search that one, but apparently that's one of the harder ones to find.
And Popeye might have the most banned cartoons. There's another one where he fights the Japanese army, says Virgil.
Yes. That's they say the word apparently Japs in that one. I was told. So just a warning, it was made in a different era.
Yeah. Eli T. Cash says about Bluto, make me a sandwich, woman. Make me a sandwich, woman.
Well, but when he was wooing, though, he tried so hard. He really did. There's the episode of where Olive is in a gorgeous red dress. I wanted to try and find, but could not find that dress. Very much Betty Boop, the way that the heart-shaped front of her dress is. She's in full-length white gloves, and she's waiting for the International to bring her on a date. And Bluto pretends to dress up as him. And for some reason, when Bluto becomes the International, his head shrinks. So if you watch the cartoon, like, he's usually got a smaller head than his body. We know this.
Got the big body.
But then when he smooths his hair back and he's got no hair on his chin, all of a sudden he becomes like a tiny faced person. It looks like he's got the tiniest head in that episode.
Brian Prosser says it's Bonzo is the name of the dog, of Betty's dog. Bonzo the dog. So Virgil Tibbs is getting a little bit spicy in the comments. So let's put some context to this.
Oh dear.
1930s flapper culture. The commercialized female form was very thin.
Oh yes.
We had gone from the Degas Botticelli
Mhm.
curvy figures of the Renaissance and the Victorian era to the flappers being stick thin. And so Virgil Tibbs says olive oil was then the ideal woman.
Oh, 100%.
Before Kardashians, the olive oil was the figure every man wanted on their woman. And he
It
says, I
really
miss
was.
those days. And Bluto was a real man, alpha male.
Oh
Virgil,
dear.
you're
Oh
going to get us
dear.
canceled, my friend.
Oh dear. Okay, so Virgil, um, according to the ladies that are watching these cartoons, even those of us that aren't as woke as some might think, um, I am much more old-fashioned than people assume that I am. However, I will say that both Popeye and Bluto showed themselves to be quite the cad in this cartoon in more than one episode, taking presumptive grabbies and other things when Olive Oil was a lady, a miss. She was a miss. Okay. And then, putting the other thing into context, I will say that the uh the thin ladies were the fad then, but also was the fact that people were very poor then. And booze was cheaper than food. And it was during a time when people did not eat as much, not because they didn't want to, but because things were a lot tighter then. So, with the fads here and there, time did change. But I don't think the thin or the thick really went out of fashion completely. It was just what was the rage of the time. And in this time period, all figures are the rage. And I kind of prefer that.
Sandra Noel says, wasn't the Betty Boop voice the lady that was the senile old grandma in Christmas Vacation? Yes. In Christmas Vacation, um, uh, Billy Bird, is it Billy Bird? No, that was another character. What was her name? She played Aunt Bethany. Is your house on fire, Clark? She actually did the voice of Betty Boop in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
Oh, Eddie, I've not seen you in so long. And boop boop beep boop. And so we've got some great comments here. Eli T. Cash says about Bosco, super weird and scary. Maybe I'm Bosco's variant. Listen, Eli, you and Bosco have a lot in common. I'm just going to say. And Virgil Tibbs says, do you remember the animated Popeye and Son? It was one of the worst shows from Saturday morning. Yes, that's why we're not talking about it. It was awful. And Virgil did give us all of the correct names for the nephews up here. Let me find it real quick. Where to go? Virgil said, it's right here somewhere. Where to go? I don't know where it went. I'm talking to myself. Okay. The nephews were Popeye, Poopeye, and Popeye. You know what? I don't like any of those names.
Here's the thing. They went down to 3 at one point.
Yes, they started with 4. They had, well, they started with 3, then they went to 4. And these kids were hell spawns. They were little gremlins.
They really were.
Yeah.
They were very, very challenging to watch. But I will say Sweet Pea, the episode where Popeye takes Sweet Pea to the zoo, really shows that it doesn't matter the age of these people that live in this fantasy realm that they created, because that baby can do some things. Like that little bitty baby is strong and has no fear of very large animals or being squashed,
no fear,
or eaten. And even like
Popeye is his dad.
No, he's not.
Adopted dad, yeah.
Well, okay. See, there's something I did not research that part of. When getting to know the Thimble Theater and the different eras of Popeye was, whose baby is Sweet Pea? Because it's not Olive's either.
No,
it's not Olive's.
It's
not Popeye's.
It was given to Popeye.
Is it her nephew?
No, it's not Olive's baby. It's somebody else, and Popeye adopts her. And Sandra Noel says Sweet Pea is kind of like Grogu,
A
like
little
Baby
bit.
Yoda.
A little bit.
Yeah, an
In a lot of
adopted
ways.
son. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brad Presser asked that, was Sweet Pea adopted or what? Yes, he was.
Yeah, I'm just curious who his family was because I didn't look at that part. I was looking at I was looking. I won't lie. I was looking at the music. I was inebriated by the idea that jazz and other
Okay.
things that were taboo were kind of
I'll
thrown
tell
into
you
this.
exactly what it is. July 1933, Popeye received a foundling baby, kind of like Grogu, in the mail, whom he adopted and named Sweet Pea. That's your answers.
Then why does Sweet Pea live with Olive Oil and her family instead of Popeye? Because in most of the episodes that Sweet Pea is in, the baby is with Olive Oil.
Well,
Not with
that's because the baby needed a mama.
Okay, so the era again, it would go back to the era. Popeye was like, "Here, I'm a sailor. Take the baby."
Yeah. Popeye is not the biological father. Olive Oil is not the biological mother. Sweet Pea was mailed to Popeye. Now, in the movie, in the 1980 movie, the woman leaves the basket on the doorstep of where Popeye's staying with a note, "Take care of my Sweet Pea."
Oh, it's such a sweet note too. A little known fact, maybe that some people may not know, is the opening credits of the music for Popeye and the first few cartoons, and the first few that were made, had instrumentals from a traditional sea shanty, dating back to the 1700s. And the Sammy Lerner, the one who composed the song that premiered in the first Popeyes cartoon, was deep in and a part of creating that and insisting on some genuineness in there. One more thing is that because they were, sorry, what you were saying?
Well, the song that Popeye sings, "I'm Popeye the Sailor Man," it's actually inspired by the Pirate King song from Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, by Gilbert and Sullivan. "I am the Pirate King, hurrah for the Pirate King. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. It's the same melody. It's the same chord progression, and it was directly influenced by that operetta.
This other part, we were talking about the era, going back to the era when this was created. There was a time period when you didn't get paid a lot of money for writing. You didn't get paid a lot of money for artistry. So they had to cut corners.
Was a time period? You mean we were past that?
You're right. It's point taken, definitely. But they didn't just use jazz. They used a lot of pre-recorded. They took advantage of the fact that Paramount had a huge music library. And they really used a lot of that in the cartoons in the beginning. And took titles. It says titles from the episodes came from popular songs of the era also. So it's a natural thing to do. That episode, which was 1939, is based on, a song of the time also. And there's a few others. The onset of the World War II, the music became more orchestrated and patriotic because of that. So if you watch along from the beginning of the Popeye, like black and white, to them bragging about, being in Technicolor, to all the way to Popeye having his own 20th anniversary episode where Popeye is in a dress, Olive Oil's dress, because they're at the fair, and he gets kicked out of his outfit and into Olive Oil's little pink dress. as a tightrope walker from Bluto. Bluto just kicks him right out of his clothes. But also he's got movie stars in that episode that are congratulating Popeye as if he's a real person. The caricatures of these actors from the time.
So this is an interesting point. So 1933, Popeye the Sailor Man debuts with Betty Boop. It was one of the most popular cartoon characters in the 1930s, created by Fleischer Studios, later became Paramount's own Famous Studios, and continued production through 1957. So these short episodes, 1933 through 1957, and the cartoons that were produced during World War II included Allied propaganda. And it was common among cartoons at the time, but Popeye was more heavily involved in the propaganda than any others. And those shorts and Popeye, the Popeye shorts created by Fleischer and Famous Studios, are now owned by Warner Brothers. And that means that Popeye could be part of the Bugs Bunny universe, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo.
That would make a lot of sense. If he's in the same universe as Scooby-Doo. Wait, have we seen Popeye in a Scooby-Doo episode? Ooh,
No.
There's a lot of people that have been in the Scooby-Doo universe. We should have a Popeye pop in.
Well, and I'm going to say, I mentioned the anthropomorphic animals at the fair in this first short. It's further evidence to me that the pop culture cartoon multiverse exists, and that people are perfectly okay with anthropomorphic animals walking around. And it's further evidence that, to me, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are the center post of that universe.
I will mention something before we keep going that I found amazing. And because the Deadpool movie just came out, and Deadpool is a fan favorite for people who like certain goofiness, I will say that in the true fashion of ripping things off, as Deadpool likes to not just pretend to not rip things off, but also to add things in from many, many different things. So there's basically just a shout out and Easter egg after Easter egg after shout out after shout out. In this case, I believe that most, if not all, the Deadpool movies and anything else that ever breaks the fourth wall is shouting out Popeye, because Popeye talks to the audience. Not just Popeye, but also the Pippa, Papa, Popeye, and Poopeye. They all talk to the audience. In fact, they prayed in their prayers and said thank you to the audience's fans for being fans of the show. And then in an episode, if you guys haven't seen it, Popeye doesn't have any spinach. Oh no, he's looking around. He looks to the audience and he goes, "Can anyone help me?" And this little shadow pops up. And if anybody is a fan of Mystery Science Theater, because I am a geek, I am also a fan of Mystery Science Theater, black and white movies, things like that, and talking in the middle of shows. So don't watch a movie with me if you don't like a little commentary. But this little guy pops up and goes, "Hey, I got a can." And we get a can of spinach thrown from the mysterious audience people to Popeye in the cartoon. He catches it. Oh, you put that up on Virgil Tibbs, and I'm like, okay, Virgil Tibbs says, "So could Popeye defeat Chuck Norris?" Oh, that's a
Here's
rabbit.
the answer. Sandra Noel says he could punch him into a million little Chucks, and then there'd be a million little Chucks. I want to see Dr. Strange Popeye punching competition. And Virgil Tibbs says, Popeye versus Dr. Strange.
Okay. I'm shouting to a different show that may not hear us, but if they haven't, you guys should tell them. Death battle. We need a Popeye versus Doctor Strange death battle.
Or Popeye versus Mr. T versus Chuck Norris. So Virgil Tibbs, this is interesting. Popeye is part of King's Features. The comic strip is owned by King Features. These
Okay.
shorts are owned by Warner Brothers. So Popeye could actually join the Defenders of the Earth. Oh my gosh. So what a great idea, Virgil, because Mad Cave Comics is launching a new Defenders of the Earth comic, which is going to be epic. But Massive Comics, for Free Comic Book Day, they debuted their brand new Popeye series, and it is coming out, I want to say next month, the full series. And it's great. Oh my gosh, is it so good? I got that first issue for Free Comic Book Day. It was fantastic.
I mean,
Now,
you love kaiju, and there are kaiju in Popeye's world.
Sure. Yeah. And before we get to prizes from the cereal box, because we still got to do that. Speaking of prizes from the cereal box, this is the Mezco action figure set with the cafe diorama. This is all I want out of life.
That's so cute.
And this is the series from Boss Fight.
I want deep.
Yeah. So there's actually 2 sets from Boss Fight and Mezco. I want them both. I don't have any Popeye action figures.
Oh no.
But that's going to bring us to our next segment, and we'll continue to address some comments here in a minute. But it is time for prizes from the cereal box, aka new loot. We've eaten the cereal, we've watched the cartoons. Now it's time to dig into the cereal box and pull out our prizes from the cereal box. And actually, Aubrey, I showed this at Imaginarium. But when I would listen back on the audio episode, it occurred to me that people who just listened to the audio had no idea what it was. All they know is that Dave Mattingly gifted me something epic. And
but you were so excited.
I'm going to reach in to the cereal box and pull out, in honor of this episode, this was a gift from Dave Mattingly from Imaginarium. This is the vinyl record, the music soundtrack from the 1980 Popeye movie with Robin Williams as Popeye, Shelley Duvall as Olive Oil, and Sandra Noel sent me a picture of hers. She's got it as well on glorious vinyl. And this movie was a massive flop. But today, people have fallen in love with it. And it's become a cult classic because the performances from these actors are so stunning. And the music, I am what I am, and it's all what I am because I am what I am. And
I think it was amazing. It was a great movie.
Yeah, it was really great. My favorite one is the song that Olive sings with the girls the night of her engagement party. He's large. Singing about Bluto. That's his only redeeming attribute. He's large.
Is that he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yep. So one of the things that I don't know if people know in the audience is that at some point in recording, the actors had to do some ad-libbing here and there. So, when you hear the mutterings under the breath, some of those are not what was written in the script. Mercer in particular was guilty of improvising his lines that were not on the storyboards or prepared for lip syncing. Generally, wordplay and clever puns were not written. So these were off the cuff, recorded and kept.
Well, and that's why Robin Williams was the perfect choice to play Popeye, because he could recreate that energy.
Almost king of off the cuff, that man. I mean, yes, just I could go. Don't let me go down the Robin rabbit hole, because I will go every time we mention him. He is to me just like you. When you first told me you met him, huge fangirling because I can't say enough about the creator that he was. It was an amazing opportunity for him to be a part of the movie and to show off his singing skills, not just his acting chops with Shelley during that. I feel like he gave Popeye the justice that he deserved in that.
So, Aubrey, I've got a crisis happening outside my door.
Okay.
Take it with your cereal box loot. I'm gonna go address something real quick. Show everyone what you got.
All right. Well, today, guys, I was a little unnerved, to be honest with you, because it's been a minute since I have gone over the episodes that we've had, all of them. I've gone over a few of them, but I had no idea, to be honest with you, what to show off today. So I'm hoping I'm not doing a repeat, but I have something that is one of the most expensive comics that I've purchased so far. It's Where Creatures Roam, and it's by Marvel Comic Group. 15 cents. So this is one of my most expensive comics thus far. Oh, and in the true fashion, we have lovely bright colors on this, and then right on the background, just to be safe, they remember, stay in school, kids. Would you like to apply for Academy from Home Study? You don't have to do that this way anymore. You can just go straight to Google, and you can audit classes from colleges, just to let you know, in case you don't know. Holy moly, look at that panel right there. Part 1. If I can find part 2, I would love to. This is amazing. And I want to show something that people forget about because hi Johnny.
Hey Aubrey, I have a question.
Yes.
I thought I muted my mic. Did you just hear that whole conversation happening out in the hallway?
I heard the equivalent of what we sometimes hear from Popeye, which is blah, 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 blah,
okay.
Blah.
Okay. Apparently my mic did not get muted.
No, it did not, but that's okay. We did not hear much of anything. However, one of the things I was going to mention just as you were walking up is, though a lot of society believes that women are the only ones that are constantly under the pressure of keeping our bodies in top condition, it's not true. Because even amongst men, for many, many years, this has been something that has bothered, to the point where they would send away for additional help. See? So in this is back when these comics were 15 cents a piece. And I did not look at the year before I did this. 1970. So this is one of my earliest comics. This is actually from July 1st, 1970. I do have gloves on specifically for that. But even in this era, there was still body dysmorphia and other issues with women and men alike. So thinking that is not so, ladies, is not true. If both sides of the gender aisle have an issue with self-esteem and the equivalent of what is in and what is pretty. And we've got one right there for ladies. Too skinny? There's a solution for you. And we've also got something for electric guitars here at the bottom. And I'm making a list for new comics.
So Virgil says you guys heard everything.
I did not hear.
Colorful language? No, I didn't use any colorful language. But
oh, look, for $1,000 for $27, you can get a ring that probably wasn't worth the money. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did not.
Wait, are they naked? Yeah, bring that up again. Show that again.
Oh my! There, guys. Those people are completely
in a comic book in 1970. Don't be fat, and they're completely naked. I love it. See, I'm telling you, Aubrey, we have become more prudish in the 2000s than we were in this 30s, 40s, into the 70s.
Ooh, look at that.
Yep.
I
So-
love some of these old advertisements in here. History of the comics.
Yeah, I love that. So Aubrey, Virgil Tibbs says this whole show and nobody brought up Wimpy and nobody brought up the video game. Look, there's so much. We only have so much time to cover. But you guys, you start going down the Popeye rabbit hole, and Aubrey, that's awesome prizes from the cereal box. We're way over time.
Oh,
And
are
so,
we again?
yeah, we're way over time. So we need to wrap this up. But final thoughts on Popeye. It's a big topic, big rabbit hole. But
I'd have to say that in Popeye, I could not pick a favorite character. You know, you would think that the classic, the hero would be the favorite character. But there are so many fun characters in this world that exist that far beyond just Popeye. And so much more history that's involved in the music and the artwork, in the different renditions, the type of comedy that they use in each one of them. It gets cleaner, it gets dirtier, it goes along, it's a little more cartoony, a little less adult, and then it goes back. You know, you've got violence, you've got outright murderous intent 1 minute, and the next minute in the next episode, you have complete wholesomeness. So it's dynamic. It's a very dynamic story. I don't know what world they're in, but I definitely assume that it's something similar to what Scooby-Doo would have. And even though I was fully prepared to say, you can skip this in your, cartoon journey, not anymore. Not anymore. There's too many versions of Popeye. There's too many faces that show up. There's too many callbacks to all of the modern writing in cartoons, anime, sci-fi, tons of fantasy books. If you haven't seen even a handful of these, you're not going to be able to recall where they connect and where the inspiration came from. And you're going to think it's a new thing. And really, everything's been done because Popeye has done it already.
You know what? I can't add anything to that. That was excellent. I am going to add that if you like the show, become a supporter at patreon.com/cerealboxpodcast. We've got thousands of people who are following us on Facebook. If each one of you, if all 17,000 of you gave us just $1 a month, holy cow, what we could do would be unlimited. So become a patron on Patreon. First day with my new tongue.
Where is that t-shirt? We need that t-shirt for Johnny. Also, I'm turning 44 this Tuesday.
Yeah, so make that a birthday gift. Want to remind you that you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon, anywhere that you listen or watch podcasts. Do us a favor. Post a comment, post a review. Give us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Continue to comment. Give us thumbs up, hearts. Continue to comment on the posts on our Facebook page and give us some love. And I'm going to leave you with this. If Popeye fought Goku, this is the result.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Popeye.
Fatality. Anyway, we're going to leave you with this very special message from Chris Vaglio of Song Swap Showdown. Check this out.
Hey everybody, Chris Vaglio here from Song Swap Showdown. We are your weekly musical throwdown podcast. Each and every week, my co-host Amanda Sharp and I each swap 3 songs with each other that we may or may not have heard before, and then we rate those songs at a scale of 1 to 5 records, with 1 being a hard pass of a song and 5 being heavenly music to our ears. The songs are chosen by spinning the wheel of themes at the end of every single episode. But today, I am here to let you know that your weekend is not complete unless you started off by watching Back of the Cereal Box with Johnny Beyond and the rest of the crew. Love you, Johnny. Keep up the amazing work and rock it.
Thank you very much, Chris. We love you guys. Check out Song Swap Showdown. Continue to post comments. We will address them as we can throughout the week. And if you like this episode, tell 200-300 of your closest friends and family to come share the fun. And until the next time, love you, mean it. We'll catch you on the back of the cereal box.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi's